Well, think of those who helped make South Australia what it is today, and names like Mawson, Playford and Florey may immediately spring to mind. The name John Henry Reid is more likely to bring a John Henry who. Yet, according to his descendants, not only would life not be the same in this state without John Henry Reid, we owe him a debt of around $5 million.
Like most South Australians, when Cathy Durden flicks on the power, the first thing she thinks of is the bill. But unlike most people, she also thinks of her great-great-grandfather, John Henry Reid, who she says helped make it all possible.
We all use electricity every day, and his find has impacts on all of us. You know, we all use a light, we, boil the kettle, we need it, air conditioning, who'd be without it, sort of thing. So, yeah, we really need it and should appreciate the fact that he was the one that found it.
It's not that John Henry Reid discovered electricity, though like many in the Victorian era, he could turn his hand to most things, running away to sea at age 11, then coming back to run the family brewery in Port Augusta. But it was when he became a surveyor that John Henry Reid discovered the stuff that generates much of South Australia's electricity, coal from Lee Creek.
And they were digging for a dam for the railway at the time, and he noticed some shale that he recognised as it could be coal shale. So he sent it, did a few digs and sent some down to be analysed in Adelaide, and it came back as coal shale.
Once a day, every day, this 3-kilometre long train makes the 5-hour journey from the Lee Creek coalfields to Port Augusta Power Station, when fully loaded, carrying almost 17,000 tonnes. According to professional historian Rob Lynn, who wrote the history of the Electricity Trust of South Australia, without Lee Creek coal, the state's journey would have been very different.
Prior to the Second World War, the Playford and all the South Australian governments of the time were getting more and more perturbed that the resources for power and electricity were reliant on Newcastle coal being brought in from New South Wales.
Australia is gripped by the greatest industrial and social crisis in its history.
The problem was, due to crippling coal strikes, often the coal didn't come in, so the decision was taken to develop Lee Creek.
Well, I think Lee Creek really helped form South Australia as it is today. We owe a huge debt to the place and the people who worked it, and I think we've got to remember the people primarily.
And the man who discovered it, perhaps.
Yeah, well, that's news to me.
And it's not only the official historian who's never heard of Reid's name. His descendants say virtually no one has. The only public recognition is a plaque in Reid Park on the outskirts of the new Lee Creek township. And it's hard for an out-of-towner to find it, so long-time resident Terry Folks took us to visit.
And his commission, I think, was to find some coal, and he'd done so, and as it shows in the plaque, they weren't even exactly sure what year it was, according to this. It was about 1888, and I'm not sure whether he's got the recognition around here out on the mine and things, because it's features, like out on the administration building and in here as well, but other than that, I don't think too many people have heard too much about him.
But the family say the state owes much more than a debt of gratitude. When John Henry Reid found coal, a £10,000 government reward was being offered to the person or persons who found it. The government never paid up.
That's why I'm, looking to present the government with a bill for John, on behalf of John Henry and his descendants. So.
By your reckoning, how much does the government of South Australia owe your family?
I would be reckoning in the vicinity of $5 million.
Cathy Durden says she's a bit hazy on the reasons why the money was never paid. John Henry Reid, she says, had trouble developing the resource, and she thinks the state really wanted higher quality coal, like that from Newcastle. She knows she has Buckley's of getting $5 million, which is just as well, really. We asked the current Minister for Mines to respond to her claim. We haven't had a response. But spurred on by her mother's death in April, Cathy Durden says it is time for better recognition of her great-great-grandfather.
That would make me very happy, and it would make all of his descendants really happy for him to receive the recognition that he deserves.
I think recognition is a really great thing, Simon, that people who do great things for South Australia should be recognised, and their names should be put down somewhere for posterity.
And they ask, how hard can that be? After all, in Kalgoorlie last year, John Henry Reid was inducted into the Mining Hall of Fame. And even if few know his name, we do owe him a lot.
Would be lost without Lee Creek. South Australia is very fortunate with their resources, sort of thing, and the fact that he was able to identify coal was pretty amazing too.
Well, we've recognised him tonight.